This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, regular meeting of the North Haven Board of Finance. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I would like to start with the minutes of the regular meeting held on August 20th, 2025. I'd like a motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
I think I had already mentioned to the chair that given the fact that we had a summary last month and we have a summary of the year-end closeout this month, that it's probably worth just a very brief amendment to both item 6 on the minutes and also in the verbiage on the third page, just indicating that the summary was provided to us before we received the Board of Education finalized numbers, but pre-audited numbers.
So Tammy, number 6 there, you'll notice it says we got a year-end summary of the total town and Board of Ed income, but it was pointed out that that was not yet finalized on the Board of Ed side only. And as Nancy said, there's a little bit of verbiage on page 3 to the same effect, and we do have the final numbers in front of us, so I do think it's worth adjusting the minutes to reflect that. Any other comments? All right, then I ask we move the minutes as amended by Nancy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the new business, but before we do that, we did have in our packets the summary, the final summary for the revised Board of Ed. I did ask Ingrid to give a slightly amended report. The numbers aren't different, the presentation's just a little bit different. I would just ask if anyone has any questions or comments, maybe we can handle that now. We have Ingrid and Rich here. But you do notice that the surplus, which is no different than last month, is $293,813.
So I'd like to make two comments if I could. First of all, while the bottom line is exactly the same, it's exactly the same even though the Board of Education ended the year with about a $300,000 surplus. And because by law they are able to transfer that money into the non-lapsing fund, the net result is exactly the same as if they had spent all of that money. So our net effect surplus, town and Board of Ed combined, is exactly the same. So so I'd like to make two sort of general comments based upon this this summary. Despite our deliberately not collecting about $800,000 in revenue, $500,000 that was unappropriated cash, and then $300,000 that was a recurring mistake in budgeting the QU money as revenue. We ended with a revenue shortfall, and despite all of that, the $900,000 in under expenditures, that's town plus Board of Ed, ultimately landed us with a $300,000 surplus. And the second point I'd like to make is, despite reducing the BOE budget for the last fiscal year by $2.1 million, they still ended the year with about a $300,000 surplus. So I'm happy to always see surpluses, but it's important to make note of that. And Ingrid and Rich, I just have a quick question for you. Last month you seemed very confident that the BOE budget would not have a surplus. And I just wondered what changed that ultimately led to the $300,000 surplus.
We are in the process of auditing, and then we finalized numbers. That's what they ended up with.
Okay.
We are final now for audit.
You seemed very confident last month that it would be zero.
And the comment was also, whatever dollars were left, we were expecting them to fund workers' comp reserve.
It would go into the non-lapsing
That,
fund.
no,
No.
we were expecting them to fund worker comp.
Oh, I see, because their workman's comp was so high, I see.
Yes, so there would not be any surplus.
Got you,
technically.
but in effect they did. All right, and then we'll see what the audit ultimately reveals when we get that, hopefully by December, fingers crossed. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Any other members have questions or comments on this? All right, there's no motion needed here. This was just for information for the members. Let's go on to the August numbers. Let's start on the town side with the revenue. I don't have any particular comments myself, except that we had a very good month on short-term investments. Don't know if there's any anomalies there, Rich or Ingrid, that you should mention?
Usually is the month that we will have a very good month, this August.
Because we have
after all the
July,
collections.
the July tax, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm sure with interest rates
Oh, it's gonna
coming down,
change.
that'll
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We won't be trending as much over.
No.
Yes.
Well, there was a quarter point reduction today, and I think they're talking about at least
Even more
probably
after
another
that.
half through the rest of the year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Open the floor to any questions or comments from the members on revenue. Okay, it seems quiet. Why don't we go to the expense side of the ledger? And we did get revised report from Ingrid. It was both emailed to us, and then we all got it as additional material on our desk this evening.
Ingrid, could you point out to us what changed, just to save us the time of comparing?
Oh, yes, what changed, if you see there's some of the departments that they had lines that they didn't belong there, we just had Munis has been having some glitches and the reports didn't print out correctly.
Yeah, I would totally disregard the first report, even if you go just to the last page,
You'll
and it
see.
shows our budget at 70 million. Well, we all know our budget wasn't 70 million.
Right.
It, it was the 69,160, and I think it was showing it at 70, yes, over
Yeah.
70 million.
Right.
All right, so questions, comments from the floor on expenditures for the month of August?
The only one I had to do with overtime on building and inspections,
What page?
page 3.
Okay, this is the same consultant that had resigned for, if you see in page 4, our consultant line is under budget to 5.9%. This is covering
Gotcha.
consultant.
Okay, thank you.
And the question I had was about workman's comp. Was it workman's comp?
What page?
Wait a minute, let me find it. I had it noted on my other.
17 is worker comp. I mean, we expensed the full amount and just moved it to
Yeah,
reserves.
that was it, you did.
Yeah, we just
We
moved
did.
it to the reserve account.
Okay.
Right, 17.
And then we'll earn interest on it from,
It has its own account.
It has its own account.
And it's an interest-bearing account, so that would actually save taxpayer dollars in the future.
thank you.
And when January rolls around is when we anticipate going to a insured model instead of the self-insured. So we're just lining everything up to be in place.
And on page 5, under annual special audit, again, because we just received the audit last month, I'm sure they were doing last-minute tweaks. Is that number?
No,
that
they've
was-
started this
No,
year's
they-
That's
audit.
next
yeah,
year.
We
So
are in the
that's-
middle of our audit for this year.
So this is
This
not
is this year's audit.
last year at all?
No.
It's all new. Okay,
I think Dave said we'd probably get it by the end of December, right?
December,
Yeah,
I'm
Did
hoping,
you say
yeah.
that last month?
Yes.
Again, I wasn't sure where the overlap
Yeah.
was.
Right.
And on that same page, under Board of Finance, it says budget books?
Yes, usually we don't get them print out anymore, but we do get the paper. We start getting the paper for them.
Oh, so that's just for the paper?
Yes, for the paper.
And then we just print them here?
Right.
Gotcha.
Members, any other comments, questions for Rich or Ingrid on the reports?
Just a comment, like the employee assistance program, looks like they're on page 6. Looks like people are really using it, it's just more like that one.
Which item?
EAP on
Yeah.
page 6, the last
Yeah.
item in personnel.
Yeah, I'm just calling it out, I mean, it's showing that people are
Yes.
using it.
Oh, the employee assistant?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, if you didn't realize a fireman passed away.
Yeah.
The wake was Saturday. In reality, you have to look at it this way. These guys pretty much live together 24/7.
Oh, no, I'm just saying
And they've had
that
like 3 guys
it's
in the last
good to
couple of
see
years.
that it's
Yeah.
being
Being
used.
yes.
Because a lot of people, I know people in corporate, they don't want to use it for whatever
Oh.
reason, but,
And I am expecting to exceed that line before we're finished.
yeah, it was just something that I noticed, and having an employee assistance program is good, but a lot of times people don't use it, so it's good to see that it's being used. That's my comment.
Any other comments before I move on to the Board of Ed? All right, let's go on to the Board of Ed. One thing I will say before we open up to the floors, we do have our normal cover letter from the Board of Ed. On page 2, it talks about the reserve accounts, medical reserve $1,571,000, and the workman's comp $261,000. I did talk to Richie about this before the meeting because my recollection was that the workman's comp fund was negative. So Richie has pointed out that this is their cash balance. It doesn't take into account their liabilities. It's really just what's in their checking account. So in total, the workman's comp fund does have a significant negative balance. And as Nancy pointed out, the cover letter talks about the fact that I should say, the Board of Ed in fiscal '25 did move $291,262 to their non-lapsing fund, use of funds to be determined later by the Board of Ed. With that, if the members have any comments or questions, please speak up.
Well, are they inclined to use those, what they called underutilized funds? Are they going to put that toward the workman's comp liability?
I think that's an excellent suggestion.
We agree.
Is it possible that we could somehow send a note to the board and say that the Board of Finance met and we recommend that that money gets moved to the workman's comp fund and not spent for other purposes?
I completely agree.
Well, knowing what that liability was,
Right.
why wouldn't they have just moved that money there at the end of the closeout year and just ended up, instead of showing underutilized funds, why didn't they just end the year with 0?
I think they have to demonstrate a surplus, because anything that is underexpended in a given fiscal year is by definition a surplus. And then by law, they have to transfer that money first into this specific fund that they've created. From there, they have the discretion, without our permission, to move it into any special fund and use it any way they wish. But I agree.
I think they could
No,
have expended
no,
it to the workman's comp.
They could have just
They could have just-
expensed it in
they could have,
worker
yeah.
comp and
That's
moved
what
right to the reserve.
that's what they did on the town side.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what they should have done.
Yeah.
It would make sense to have taken this route.
It would have, as we mentioned last meeting, their budget would have been 0, and they just would have overfunded a line, whatever the 290 some odd thousand, overfund the worker comp to try and get the fund a little bit more on the positive side.
Right, because to me, if they have that much in underutilized funds, and then they end the year with a liability, which shows on their chart of $1,717,000, to me, it's almost as though they ended the year negative instead of positive.
Yes, we made the suggestion.
I mean, those bills have to be paid.
So what if we were to,
And now it has to come out of this year's budget, I assume, from them, unless they're going to come back and ask us for money.
So the
So-
workman's comp bill does not count as an encumbrance for the last fiscal year? Or it does?
No.
Okay.
It's not an encumbrance, it's
not encumbrance.
incurred but not reported.
right, there's no outstanding payable.
There's no outside, there's no bill that's owed.
Right, so that, to Mr. Hallahan's point, then there is no bill that needed to be paid in the last fiscal year. It needs to be paid, but it wasn't specific to that year. It just is an outstanding bill for the Board of Education to be paid, correct? That's, from an accounting standpoint, that's the way to view it. And I believe that the law does require that they do have to transfer any surplus funds into this special account that they have created, this non-lapsing fund. I think that's what the law
I don't
says.
think so.
Yes,
No.
if they have
I don't
it,
think
if
so.
they
I
have.
don't- I
If
don't
they
think
have
that's true.
surpluses.
No.
But they did, yeah.
They did,
They have the option to do that.
they have the option. They technically did not have
Right.
a surplus because they have a reserve account that's
Right.
negative.
Listen, they
Right.
could return the money to the town. If they ran a surplus, they could return it to the town. In fact, they probably are supposed to, right?
Well, they
But
can
have-
go to non-lapsing.
Well,
but-
I'm saying out, if it wasn't for the
Yeah.
non-lapsing, that's what I'm trying to say.
But in reality,
Which is what they did for years, right? When we didn't have
They
a
should've.
non-lapsing fund, they returned it to the town. And now they have a non-lapsing fund, so therefore they can transfer it into that.
Yes.
and they should pay down, they should take care of their liability with the reserves before they do anything else.
So how about if we, as a board, ask the finance department to send an email to Christian Howard, the superintendent, and Ron Vathrick, recommending that the unexpended or funds of $291,262.95, which may be in the non-lapsing fund, be applied to the shortfall in the workman's comp fund.
Okay?
Well, is that all right with the board?
That sounds
Yeah.
reasonable.
I think that's totally reasonable.
Yep.
Please, thank you. All right, let's keep going. Other comments on the Board of Ed?
I had a quick question, again, I think this is a point that Mr. Piper brought up last year. For both, we received both the July and August end-of-month reports from the Board of Ed, and for both months, it has, for teachers, the month-to-date actual is 0. And I'm just trying to understand exactly why that is for both July and August. And I understand for July, maybe they were prepaid during the month of June, and that's why there's a big spike in June. But for August, they're actually in the classroom for at least a fraction of August, so it seems like they should actually be paid. So it could be that there's a lag.
There is a lag on, I know they have ADP, they don't have payroll in Munis, so they have to import all
Right.
those expenditures.
Okay.
And Howard just got back at the end of, was it June?
Well, yeah,
Beginning of
Becky
July.
started beginning of
July.
July.
Right, so we
Started
have been
July.
working on audit, so I'm sure his focus has been fully on audit.
Sure.
So Nancy, I was looking quick, but I mean, to your point, what you're saying is,
The third line down, it says teachers, month-to-date actual for both July and August is 0.
oh, just that line. I thought you meant the whole column.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
just
sorry,
just the teacher's line
got it,
is
okay.
0. The administrators, everything else is filled in for the month.
Right.
But that particular line, and, special education teachers the same, certified staff development. There are several other zeros here, so I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah,
What am I
can
missing?
ask.
Okay,
I think, yeah, as Nancy said, we saw that last year, too.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, Howard's only back a few months. We are in audit right now.
right.
There's a lot of things that he tied up from the end of the year. So that's where his focus has been.
And I don't want to speak for Rich, but Rich, would it be fair to say we're trying to get them not to encumber everything,
Yes.
so that the
And
report's more meaningful?
we've had them to add the month. Remember, there's only had year-to-date, it didn't have the month expenditures on it
Right.
before.
Yeah, they
Right.
did honor
There
that
are a
request.
lot of encumbrances here, which at the beginning of the year makes sense.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that, that we're not overusing that. And on the second page, it seems as though, right off the bat, we have, I think it's the fourth row down, other repairs of $120,000 with an encumbrance of $160,000. Is there something in particular at one of the schools that happened?
No idea.
Yeah. So I had made a request to the chair back in May, and I would like to make it again. When this board has questions for the Board of Ed, it seems like there's the process of having the chair write to the chair of the Board of Ed, or to Christian, or to Howard, and get the results for the final month. It would be much easier if we could simply request that somehow the combination of Christian and Howard, that they have one of them present here for our monthly Board of Finance meetings. Not for the whole year, but just perhaps from, October through February or something like that?
They're not inclined to do that. They, I think, have agreed to come halfway through the year.
Yes, they have.
So come January, say's meeting.
Right. They're not going to be here every month, but they've agreed, Rich and I met with them, they will periodically come here.
Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that, because again, we have questions and there's no one here to answer them. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
did,
their
as you can
board-
tell, Nancy, I did talk it over with Rich and Mike.
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Their board does meet monthly. And questions can be asked at that board. But their position is they report to their board, they don't report to this board. They report to you at the budget time, and that's kind of it. They're
Which is
totally
true.
independent of us.
Look, Mike has pointed this out many times, I haven't, but Mike will be the first to tell you that in lots of other towns, the Board of Ed and the town don't exactly get along.
Right.
They don't even speak, because there's no need to speak. We bridged this
Yeah.
gap years and years ago.
Great
Yes.
relationship.
They're in here, we meet with them on a regular basis, but there's certain things they're not going to do, and they're not going to be here every Board of Finance meeting, so.
When I talked it over with Rich and Mike, Nancy, I did convey your request, but even I thought honestly that the most important time really is that January, February timeframe, right? When they've got a couple of months that are meaningful, and of course, we're going into the budget season, right?
Yes.
All right, other members, comments, questions on the Board of Ed?
I just have a quick question, and again, I know there was a lot of change within the Board of Education Finance Office over the summer. And for those who don't know, we're very fortunate to have both Howard and Christian on board. But Howard started with us as our Director of Finance Operations and Human Resources, or Human Services, back in June of 2020, and was with us until August of 2023. And then he went to become the Director of Finance in Oxford. A few months later, Christian stepped in as the Chief Operating Officer. And so he was with us for the better part of that fiscal year, all of 24-25, and now he's with us for 25-26. And then about a year ago, we had someone, Ann Adriani, join us as the Board of Ed business manager. And she was with us for a year, and then she left because a position opened up as the Director of Finance in West Haven. So currently, we have the budget for a Chief Operating Officer who's listed on the administration page. And they talked about the salary for the business manager, which is under certified full-time, is being moved from this salary contingency line that they established in the Board of Ed budget. But we don't have an administrative role that's called Director of Finance. So I guess the question is, I'm not complaining, I just want to know, how are we paying for positions that are not in the budget? And are they also going to be filling this business manager position that is currently vacant on the Board of Ed?
I have to say, you lost me. We had two people in similar positions. One left, and now we have some that filled in, so I'm sort of lost, unfortunately.
So Howard was the Director of Finance Operations and Human Services, so Christian
That was his prior job.
Yes, that was his
A couple
prior
years
job.
ago, right.
So when he left, Christian stepped in as Chief Operating Officer, which is different from Director of Finance Operations and Human Services. So now we have both a Chief Operating Officer and a Director of Finance Operations and Human Services. We don't have both of those in the budget. We
Wait a
don't.
minute.
I don't even know.
I'll put the
what
titles
they're-
aside for a minute, and maybe they're important, but we had Christian, he hasn't changed.
Right.
We had a woman, you mentioned her name, who
Yes.
did the accounting for the Board of Ed, and now Howard's doing the accounting for the Board of Ed.
Correct.
So Howard is playing the role of both Director of Finance and Business Manager.
They don't have a Director of Finance,
No.
Board of Ed.
Well, that's his title.
Currently?
So, currently. He was the Director of Finance, Operations, and Human Services. Now he is just Financial Director. And so I'm trying to understand, is there going to be this third position in their finance office replacing this Ann Adriani? Who,
That's the kind of detail you've got to ask the Board of Ed for. I mean, again, maybe I'm thinking this too simplistically, Nancy. We had an employee leave, like we have lots of employees leave across the town, the board of it all the time. We brought in a new employee to fill that position. As long as
So-
they've got the money's budget, then our role is fulfilled here.
So that's my point. We only have money budgeted for one administrator, not two, and we currently have 2 administrators. That's the point.
I mean, Howard took Ann's position and is completing Ann's function. Christian is still doing what he was doing. Howard answers to Christian. Put titles aside, put positions aside. The Board of Ed can hire and fire at will. They don't follow an employment schedule. They can move lines anywhere they want, as
I
long
just
as they
want to
don't
make
exceed
sure
their budget.
we're able to cover this with the.
It's the Board of Ed's responsibility to stay within their budget, and we will not fund them beyond their
Yeah,
budget.
if I can just
Yeah.
help summarize this,
Please.
okay? The bottom line on this is, despite the positions that may appear, that may be dubious, the bottom line is, there's no other, once that budget was established and voted on, there's no incremental dollars to that budget.
Correct.
So they can move positions around as long as the bottom line does not get altered, unlike the town where we have a table of employment we have to stick with. So the bottom line is, although it may appear to be arcane and nebulous, there's no extra money being spent, other than what was appropriated in this referendum.
Correct. And I've said it both to Patrick and Michael when I had discussions. These jobs aren't like they were 20 years ago. It's too much for one person to do administrative and financial 100% of the time. It does require 2 people. And it's the first thing I said when Howard left with Patrick, is it really is a 2-person job. Just as finance in town, it's really a team effort.
Thank you, Rich. All right, then, I'll take a resolution on the reports.
Yes,
Board of Ed?
yes, still Board of Ed.
Yeah. So there might be by the way, a small clerical error on the Board of Ed Medical Dental Reserve Analysis page. Employee contributions in July are
So,
listed.
Mike, what page are you on, please?
The last page.
The single page that's, it's the last page, I think, on the August report.
Yes.
From Board of Ed. Yeah.
I don't have that.
You have it?
Do you have that there?
No.
Medical dental WC reserve analysis. Packet.
Oh, I didn't get that.
I didn't have that.
I don't have
either.
it either.
It might be within your reports, like the last page.
Yeah,
No, I'm looking.
No.
No, I already looked.
It was stapled to the last page of my August report.
yes.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Go ahead, Mike.
The employee contributions are listed as a positive revenue source for July, and somehow,
You mean the 1,152, Mike?
no, it's only 10,746.
Oh, the employee, I see it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but in the month of August, it's listed as an expense instead of a contribution.
So you're questioning the accuracy of the reports?
Well, there's more questions than that on this report, but, yeah, I mean, the retirees built up something, they gave us 54,000 in July, but only 11,000 in August. That 10,000 employee contribution number seems to be a little small, but, you know, we can check on that. My request would be for the Board of Ed or Brown & Brown to give us a report on this account for the last 15 months. I'd like one that includes the full last fiscal year. That's the request.
Can you please pass it along?
Because
Rich
somehow,
members.
in their end-of-year budget, they ended up with a surplus as a line item for medical expenses of over 500,000. And the prior chart that they gave us seemed to indicate they were going to end up negative. So I just want to know if we're getting all the right numbers.
Well, my recollection, Mike, is that this is a big number, but they did not make their last payment into the medical They only put 11 months in last year, in my recollection. That's one of the reasons that 561 exists. They ate into the reserves the end of last year. They did not make their 11th payment, or 12th payment, sorry.
Well, why didn't they?
It was
Why'd they-
reported
why'd
that
they- Why'd they end up with a surplus on that line item?
probably the balance of the lines, but I'm guessing, to be told, truth be told.
Strange accounting, if you ask me.
I agree. Please pass Mr. Hallahan's request along to,
Okay.
I will not say the word unacceptable, but it's highly questionable.
anything else, Mr. Hallahan?
Are there any other reserve accounts that they should be reporting to us? Or is it just those two accounts, the medical reserve and workman's comp? Are they, I guess it's zeroed out in terms of, did they have a special ed reserve account at one point? Is that just zeroed out?
They may have accounts that are unrelated to the budget. They're,
Well, they were reporting on those accounts to us.
Yes, they were.
They were reporting on a special ed. There was some money that went in there for legal at one point. I don't remember when that was, but they did.
well, they should
We
have.
will
there
request.
but there should be a line item in their budget for special ed or legal that should hit.
Yeah, but that's a budget line item, not a
They had
special fund.
A
Oh, the
special
reserve.
fund, yes.
Special
I don't think they
reserve
have
funds.
No,
anything anymore.
they don't, I don't believe there's
No.
anything left in those funds. Those funds are all zero.
Yeah. All right.
I'm pretty confident that the only funds that we're carrying for them now is worker comp and medical reserves. That's it. Everything else has been utilized.
All right, and to reiterate the use of the encumbrance column in terms of clarity, in their August report under tuition, last month they went from an encumbrance of 1.5 million in July to 2.6 million as an encumbrance. Did they did some more calculations and just thought that would be what they're going to expend in the full fiscal year, and does that account for whatever grants or offsets that they have for that line item?
It probably doesn't impact grants yet. Not this close to the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I
All
think
right.
the solution here, and it was mentioned briefly earlier, was that we need to encourage the Board of Ed to treat the encumbrances like the town does. They shouldn't be estimates of what they're going to expend throughout the year, because this line now is now fully expended if you use the 2.6, right? It should actually reflect a payable or an invoice that's out. I guess it's an invoice, right? Not a payable, right? An invoice that they know is going to come into the town. They shouldn't just be estimating that they're going to spend the whole line after 2 months. They likely will, but that's not, it makes the reports difficult to interpret.
Okay.
Very well said, sir.
Anything else, Mr. Hallahan?
No, we'll get more clarity as the year goes on, I hope, with good communication between our finance office and their business office.
All right. Anything from the other members?
Nope.
If not, I'll take a motion to move the reports.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Okay. We do have we do have 2 resolutions in front of us. This is to do the annual budget transfers. One is for budget transfers under $20,000. This is for $4,617.91. And we have budget transfers over $20,000. That amount is $1,134,878.66. The board does this annually to help balance the accounts as we're required to do for the final fiscal 2025 audit. Before we go for a reading of the motion and perhaps a motion to move them, Rich or Ingrid, is there anything you want to say on this?
I'd like to point out, so you can understand what I did here. If we go to the first page after the resolutions, you'll notice, for example, a transfer in for Department 100. It would also be reflected in the pages in the back is our budget report, but you'll see that transfer in there. And all those items are under 20, and in the second page, you'll see some, for example, for Department 215, two of them, that's over 20,000. That's why those two are not in the first page, because it's by department, over 20,000.
Thank you.
Isn't it that it's individual line items?
It's
are
by
over?
department, so if the department is overspent, then we'll have to transfer money in to make sure that department is not overspent.
Right, but in the past, anyway, we had transfers in excess of $20,000 in order to cover expenditures, an individual line item, not necessarily to cover.
Yes, I have it here by individual
Yeah,
line
right.
item,
Hold on,
right,
I
but,
think-
there.
I'm sorry, the confusion was, we used to have 3 transfers.
Yes.
Right, we had within department, we had
Yes.
intra-department. I think it was determined
One's not required.
a couple years ago that one of them was not required. So in the last
Correct.
2-3 years, I don't know the exact how long, we've been doing what's required, which is the 2 that are in front of us. I think that might be the
Right.
confusion.
The two just between departments.
But the rest, the bits.
Just
Right.
within
Yes,
because
not
if the
not
department is not overspent, you don't need to transfer any money in for,
Yeah.
Right, but we did transfer between the lines in the past, within a department. The board used to actually report that, but we don't actually need a resolution on that.
Now I understand.
Right. All right, Diane, would you mind reading the?
I had actually two quick questions. First of all, thank you for organizing this. I really appreciate the organization, and in particular, the summary of those budget transfers over $20,000. This is very easy to read. I had 2 quick questions. On the very first page, the professional appraisal services, where we budgeted $15,000 because this was a reval year, and we only spent a small fraction of that, only $3,000. Do we think that this will change with appeals?
The appeals would have already gone by.
the
Appeals are
appeals
back
have
in,
their own
that was
line,
back in
right.
February.
And we also have in our capital,
Right.
we budget for every year.
Okay.
And that appraisal, they get paid out of the
Yeah.
capital line. It's a
Okay.
different line altogether.
So we don't think that that number will change at all? Okay. And my second question is on the second page, the water fire protection. I think this falls under utilities, which is Department 500.
Yes.
What was the nature of this?
These get
Overage?
billed twice a year, and it's the water, the hydrants around town. It's the bill that we get from Regional Water Authority.
Right,
I
And
think
this
we
is a
talked
transfer
about this in
in
one of
because
our, we talked
actually-
about this in one of our
Okay.
meetings.
Yes.
We did.
that's fine. That's it. That's all I have.
Diane, if you don't mind?
Resolved that the Board of Finance approves adjustments in the appropriations of certain line items in the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget, transferring amounts under $20,000 to account as follows. Budget transfers, $4,617.91. Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends the following adjustments in appropriations of certain line items among the various departments in the 2024-2025 budget, transferring amounts over to $20,000 to account as follows: $1,134,878.66. And then resolve that the Board of Selectmen be requested to call a special town meeting or include the same on the agenda of the annual town meeting for the appropriations of certain line items among the various departments in the 2024-2025 budget, transferring amounts over $20,000.
Thank you. I'll move the motion. Anyone second, please?
Second.
All in
All right,
favor?
wait, I just have just 2 clarification questions here that I think you've already answered today, but it just went over my head because of my seat's a little low. One is that the remaining revised balances here are being taken care of within the department, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Which balance is on my
all
mind?
the balances, all the balances are not zero on the right. Are
Well,
all-
no.
Are all
The-
being
the-
resolved
If it's
within the
zero,
department?
If it's 0, it's because the department was overspent. So, for example, Department 100, those other negative line items will get taken care of within that department. I don't need to transfer in any more money than $573.
Right.
You're talking about page 2, Mike, right?
Yeah, I'm
Page 2
looking
again.
at the over 20,000 page.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
You know,
Right, because that is the only amount that I need to transfer in to make that department.
Whole.
I think Mike's question is the
Balance.
revised
Right.
balance is
So,
positive.
right. So
It's
these-
$794.
yeah.
So he's asking what happens to
These
those.
transfers end up making
Right.
each department 0.
Right. Yes.
But not each and every
Not,
line.
the line necessarily doesn't
Yeah.
have to be 0.
Okay. And the second item here, just, which I think you just said, but somehow my hearing's going because I'm getting older, is the fact that they are over 20,000 means that within the aggregate number for each department is over 20,000.
20,000.
Not each transfer itself is over 20,000.
That's correct.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm a slow learner tonight. Yeah. Those are the only questions I had.
Thank you, Mike. Any other discussion on the motions? Motion, sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. No correspondence this evening. We are at the portion of the meeting where we have public comment. We have one person in attendance. Okay,
Nothing?
motion to adjourn.
So motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.